In my experience, one of the hardest things to maintain as an architect is a sense of confidence. I'm surrounded all the time by specialists who, by definition, know more about their own field than I do. And when, as happened to me today, one of them decided aggressively to describe me as a charlatan for not knowing everything about the field or seeing the field in a different way than he did, it's very difficult to keep going. I remember an interview I went for an actual job, a so-called, permanent role as an enterprise architect, and I think the second comment by the CEO there was, "You've worked in so many different fields, that must mean you're no good at anything." So yeah, it's hard to keep going. The thing that we do know as architects, our specialism, is how things connect together at multiple scales and over long periods of time. It's very difficult to get this point over. I've discovered the hard way that I think very differently from the way that most people do. And the way that I see things is not easy for others to necessarily get. It's been a 10-year struggle to get some of the material down in the new change mapping book, down into a form that really is much more accessible and acceptable to people who come from a mainstream, very business-oriented view where things are step by step. Whereas I work very much more fractally, connecting things in all sorts of different directions. The analogy I use increasingly now is that where everyone else is concerned with the building blocks that make up the individual elements of a solution or an enterprise, what I focus on is the mortar that holds them together. Because as things move, without that mortar, without that material that takes up the load and allows us to move things in and out, without that, what you've got is something that's very well suited, has a very good fit for a single purpose, but when the world changes around it, everything falls apart. So that's why an architect is so important. But we don't seem to do anything as far as most people are concerned. They're working with their individual fiefdoms, their individual specialities, and we connect always between. So there's a constant challenge to maintain the confidence that what we do actually is useful. What often our work is only visible when we fail. Our work is the more successful we are, the less visible our work becomes. It's true of a lot of trades, such as particularly things like logistics and so on. So yes, confidence is a major issue that I'm dealing with. And one of the themes there is that there's a theme I talk about the difference between competence, non-competence and incompetence. Competence is when I really know what I'm doing. Non-competence is when I know that I don't know what I'm doing and don't pretend to. Incompetence is when I pretend to know what I'm doing and don't. Now I treasure my non-competence. The trouble is that people always think therefore that I'm not competent to do anything. But my job is to learn the basics of something very quickly so I can connect it to something else. So these are all very real issues that we face as a practical concern. It's very easy to get knocked down. I've lost most of a day from reeling from a very nasty attack. So beware that confidence, being certain of what we do, being clear that when we're not competent and when we are, those are very important things to focus on to help us maintain the confidence in what we do.